For 3 long years, Palestine burns in the crucible of the 1936 Arab Revolt, a violent uprising that forever alters the destiny of the region and its people. The uprising begins with a massive general strike, paralyzing ports, transport, and commerce, quickly escalating from civil disobedience into armed attacks against British rule and Jewish communities. Rebels target vital infrastructure, blowing up railway tracks, cutting telegraph lines, and ambushing supply convoys to sever the economic arteries connecting major cities and rural settlements. British forces struggle to maintain control, deploying armored patrols along treacherous mountain roads where ambushes and sniper fire become an everyday hazard for colonial administrators. Transport trucks carrying supplies to isolated agricultural outposts find themselves trapped in deadly crossfire, forcing military escorts to return fire from behind improvised metal plating. Urban centers like Jerusalem and Jaffa experience severe military curfews, transforming vibrant bazaars and bustling streets into silent, heavily patrolled ghost towns governed by martial law. Unseen snipers occupy strategic high ground, pinning down patrols and creating an atmosphere of constant paranoia across both urban alleyways and rural agricultural pathways. Isolated Jewish farming communities find themselves on the front lines, hastily erecting wooden stockades, barbed wire perimeters, and watchtowers to defend against nighttime raids. Throughout the valleys, iconic stockade and watchtower structures rise within a single day, providing defensive observation points to spot approaching attackers before they breach the gates. Nights bring anxious hours of vigil, as young volunteers man searchlights and listen intently for footsteps in the dark shadows of the surrounding orchards and fields. The prolonged unrest devastates the local economy, cutting off trade routes between Arab and Jewish towns and forcing both populations into deep economic hardship and isolation. At the bustling port of Haifa, British troop ships arrive carrying thousands of reinforcements to quell the spreading insurrection, transforming the coastal city into a heavily armed garrison. Inside fortified government headquarters, British officials grapple with conflicting pressures from London, Arab leaders, and Zionist organizations as the security situation spirals out of control. In the rugged hills of Samaria and the Galilee, decentralized rebel bands organize under local commanders, launching hit-and-run assaults against government installations and transport routes. Clashes erupt near rural villages as armed bands trade gunfire with British patrols, turning ancient agricultural landscapes into zones of persistent tactical maneuvering. Behind closed doors in Tel Aviv, the underground Haganah leadership convenes emergency meetings to debate how the Jewish community should respond to the escalating violence. The Haganah formally adopts Havlaga, a strict policy of self-restraint, mandating that members defend their settlements but refrain from launching revenge attacks against Arab civilians. Adhering to restraint proves agonizing for volunteers on the ground, who must absorb sniper fire and sabotage without retaliating, trusting in long-term political strategy over vengeance. As attacks mount day after day, frustration ripples through the younger ranks, many of whom argue that passive defense only invites further aggression and bloodshed. Heated debates echo in smoky rooms across Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, dividing the underground leadership between advocates of disciplined restraint and those demanding aggressive counterstrikes. Clandestine printing presses work through the night, churning out underground newspapers and ideological pamphlets to rally public opinion and enforce discipline within the ranks. Unable to accept continued restraint in the face of ongoing casualties, a militant faction breaks away from the Haganah to form an independent, uncompromising armed resistance organization. This splinter group becomes the Irgun Zavai Lumi, known as the Etzel, embracing offensive retaliation and rejecting the passive defense doctrine of the official national institutions. Both underground factions race to acquire and hide weapons, digging secret caches beneath floorboards, chicken coops, and agricultural fields to outsmart British search parties. The conflict enters a brutal new phase as the Etzel abandons restraint, carrying out bombings in crowded Arab markets in retaliation for attacks on Jewish civilians. Spiraling cycles of tit-for-tat violence tear apart the social fabric of the country, deepening ethnic animosities and leaving deep psychological scars on every community. Thick black smoke frequently darkens the skies above major urban centers, marking the aftermath of bomb blasts, assassinations, and retaliatory arson attacks. Fear grips the civilian population, driving communities further apart and making peaceful coexistence seem increasingly impossible as extremist factions dictate the terms of engagement. Frustrated by the breakdown of order, British authorities respond with sweeping emergency regulations, mass arrests, military tribunals, and public floggings for suspected rebels. Large detention camps swell with thousands of suspected insurgents and political prisoners, fenced behind multiple layers of razor wire in remote desert and coastal locations. Every journey across the country requires passing through rigorous military checkpoints where travelers are searched, questioned, and subjected to humiliating delays. Recognizing that passive defense is failing to stop the insurgency, visionary commanders within the Yishuv begin advocating for radical new military tactics and proactive operations. Enter Captain Orde Wingate, a charismatic and eccentric British intelligence officer who arrives in Palestine with revolutionary ideas on how to counter guerrilla insurgency. Wingate establishes the Special Night Squads, an unorthodox joint force of British soldiers and Jewish volunteers trained to take the fight directly to the rebel camps at night. Recruits undergo rigorous nocturnal training, learning stealth movement, ambush techniques, and how to navigate unfamiliar terrain in pitch darkness without giving away their position. Operating under the cover of darkness, the Special Night Squads track insurgent infiltration routes across the Galilean hills, turning the night from a hazard into an advantage. Applying Wingate's aggressive doctrine, the squads ambush rebel bands near vulnerable oil pipelines and communication lines, stunning the insurgents with unexpected nighttime offensives. The success of the Special Night Squads shatters the psychological barrier of passivity, proving that Jewish forces can take the initiative and successfully prosecute offensive operations. Building on these tactical lessons, the Haganah expands its regional field companies known as HISH, transforming local watchmen into disciplined, mobile infantry units. Strategy shifts permanently away from static fortification toward mobile counter-operations, allowing defenders to intercept attackers before they ever reach settlement gates. Communication networks expand rapidly across the country, utilizing field telephones and hidden runners to coordinate rapid reinforcements between isolated settlements during attacks. Intelligence gathering becomes increasingly sophisticated, with underground scouts mapping enemy movements, supply lines, and safe houses throughout the countryside. These mobile units and elite squads lay the institutional and tactical groundwork for the creation of the Palmach, the formidable strike force of the upcoming war. Recruits master the art of silent infiltration, night navigation, and rapid deployment, forging a generation of native-born commanders who know every inch of the land. Tested in the fires of the 1936 revolt, these young leaders developed the doctrine of decentralized initiative that will define Jewish military operations for decades. Though the immediate revolt eventually subsides, veterans of the 1936 to 1939 conflict recognize that a much larger existential war is looming on the horizon. In 1939, Britain issues the White Paper, drastically restricting Jewish immigration and land purchases, abruptly turning former allies into bitter political adversaries. With legal immigration choked off, underground networks pivot toward clandestine operations, smuggling desperate refugees past British naval blockades onto Mediterranean shores. The 3 years of continuous revolt forced the Yishuv to build an underground military-industrial complex, manufacturing ammunition and weapons hidden from British inspectors. Exhausted by British military repression, internal factional bloodshed, and economic ruin, the Arab Revolt finally sputters out by the summer of 1939. The human and economic toll is immense, leaving thousands dead, communities fractured, and the political landscape of Palestine fundamentally and permanently altered. Out of the chaos emerges a hardened, battle-tested generation of fighters who have learned the harsh realities of modern asymmetric warfare firsthand. The old defensive mindset of passivity is permanently discarded, replaced by a doctrine of self-reliance, proactive defense, and clandestine military readiness. The tactical innovations, secret networks, and elite units forged during the 1936 revolt provide the institutional blueprint for the future Israel Defense Forces. Though overshadowed by the outbreak of World War II just months later, the Arab Revolt remains the formative military crucible of modern Israeli statehood. Every ambush, patrol, and tactical debate between 1936 and 1939 taught invaluable lessons in survival, intelligence, and organizational resilience under fire. 3 years of relentless conflict transformed a fractured community of immigrants and farmers into an organized, battle-ready military underground prepared for any foe. Having survived the crucible of the Arab Revolt, the Yishuv stood poised on the threshold of a turbulent decade that would determine its ultimate survival. The events of 1936 to 1939 permanently reshaped military strategy, proving that survival required absolute vigilance, tactical innovation, and unyielding self-reliance in a hostile world. The doctrines forged in those turbulent years live on, testifying to a generation that refused to break under the immense pressure of history. How do you think these underground tactics shaped modern military strategy? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe for more historical deep dives.